What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we have some big changes that are going on today. First, I want to talk about the stimulus package and how it's ultimately going to change. We got some new reports on that just came out this morning. We also are going to address the Supreme Court nominee because this morning President Biden did choose somebody. So we'll address who that is and kind of what is being said about that. We also have the new reports for the consumer spending that came out this morning as well. It did increase. This is not great news for inflation because we still have an issue with Russia and Ukraine. I will also dive into some of the daily news on that as well. So first off, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a wonderful Friday and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for February 25th. Let's get into the update for today. First, the Build Back Better Act is dead. There really has not been any new talks of resurrecting the bill because right now it doesn't have the support in the Senate. That's the issue. So right now, House Democrats are moving on to a new plan, and they say this has to be bipartisan bills. Currently, House Democrats are pushing to pass an agenda of 77 bills, which they are calling their common sense bills. Now, all of these bills fall under key headings that Democrats are calling their 3 C's. This is cost, crime, and COVID. Now, every single one of these bills that has been introduced are coming with at least one Republican and one Democratic co-sponsor. So, there is at least some hope in the House that they could get these bills passed. Now, what kind of bills are we looking at? What's here? Well, here's a small list of just some of the bills that are being discussed. First, we have investment into tougher border protections and actually provide a pathway to citizenship. They want to create a global supply chain czar. They want to cap the price of insulin, enabling refinancing of student loans. So it's enabling refinancing of student loans, not forgiving. It's a big difference. Funding free breakfasts and lunches for public school students, sending more resources to prosecutors and law enforcement technology, building up preparedness in schools in case of future pandemics, expanding Medicare to include vision, dental, and hearing coverage. That's going to be questionable. There's also a Veteran Suicide Prevention Act, a Hamas International Financing Prevention Act, and an Illicit Arms Trafficking Security Enforcement Act. Now, I've said this many times before because this is exactly what Democrats are saying is they have to have a win. Democrats need a win, or because really that's their best chance of seeing anything get done is they need to have a win, because if they want to win in the midterm elections, and I'm not saying outright win and take every Republican seat, that's probably not going to happen. But does passing any of these bills or any of these provisions, does this provide Democrats with a big enough win to keep control in the House and the Senate, especially after these midterm elections? Well, the reports are saying probably not. They probably won't do much. But could these prevent Republicans from getting an additional 10 seats in the Senate and giving them a filibuster-proof majority? Yes. That's the expectation, is Democrats just want to make sure that they at least have the filibuster that they can count on when they get to the midterm elections if they do lose. So we'll see what happens there. The other major news that came out today is that President Biden has decided he is going to nominate Ketanji Brown Jackson for the Supreme Court. Now, if confirmed, she would be the first black woman to serve on the nation's highest court. Now, she was nominated by President Biden himself to the U.S. Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia last summer. And when she was confirmed by the Senate, she was confirmed with the vote of 53 to 44. So we did have, I think it was Lindsey Graham, and I don't remember the other one, but a couple, you have a couple Senate Republicans that did vote for her. And there might have been one Democrat that voted against her. I can't remember for sure, but so there is some bipartisan support here for her, and so we'll see what happens. Some say that President Biden was going to choose today, and the goal is hopefully in the next month, because currently the Senate Democrats don't have the 50 votes that they need, but hopefully in the next month they can vote on this nomination and she would be confirmed. So we'll see what happens there. But let's talk about inflation and the consumer spending, because in January consumer spending increased once again. In a report that came out today from the Commerce Department, they stated that the core personal consumption expenditure, this is the PCE, that this index rose by 5.2% from just a year ago. This is actually the highest it has been since April of 1983. And if you include food and energy prices into the PCE index, it actually rose by 6.1%, so an additional 0.9%. This is the strongest gain we have seen since February of 1982. Here's the issue with this, though. The issues that we are going to have is that inflation is going to be impacted heavily by this invasion of Ukraine from Russia. We are already seeing rents increase. They're already on the rise. Food prices aren't coming down anytime soon. And as wages go up as well, we could actually see prices go up even higher because of something called a wage price spiral. So, one thing I can tell you there is if wages keep increasing as they are, chances are prices for products and rent and gas and energy is all going to go up as well. Okay, so just understand that as wages increase, prices for everything else usually goes up as well. So just keep that in mind. But let's talk about Russia and Ukraine for a minute, because I think this is very important news. Now, here's what I can tell you. The situation over there is not getting any better, but the outcome is looking more clear. It's looking like Russia is going to take certain cities in Ukraine. They're going to try to input their own form of government. Now, tankers are actually reluctant to provide their vessels at this time for crude from Russia. And they're doing this because they say they're worried that they could be breaching potential sanctions if the West does decide to deploy harsher sanctions against Russia, which is what many people are expecting. Now, I want to bring this up because if the tankers are providing, I think, like 2/3 of the of crude for Russia in the different seas. So that could be a huge blow to Russia if they can't get the crude from out into the sea over to the shore. So we'll see what happens there. All right, but that is pretty important that tankers are reluctant to do this, because if they're reluctant to do this because of what may come, well, this might mean the West just decides, you know what? All right, well, let's impose these sanctions because that's going to help Ukraine at least have somewhat of control over their own country. Now, we do know that intelligence is saying that Russia could easily overrun Ukraine and take control of Kiev within the next 4 days. Right now, Ukraine does want to have talks with Russia, and the Ukrainian presidential advisor said, and I quote, "If talks are possible, they should be held. If in Moscow they say they want to hold talks, including on neutral status, we are not afraid of this. We can talk about that as well." Ukraine, despite standing up for themselves, they're ready for peace. They want to see peace. They want to work out a solution. They're open to negotiations. That's what we're hearing. Now, millions of people are fleeing the different cities, fleeing Ukraine, getting out, which is understandable. Some don't have the ability and are hiding underground in tunnels, in rail stations, and just different things like that. Here's the problem. Ukraine's economy has pretty much come to a standstill. Ukraine, even when people come back and people come out from underground, and maybe Russia isn't there anymore, who knows? But the issue is their economy was at a standstill for however long this may be. Could this be for days, weeks, months, right? A year, 2 years? We don't know. And that's the issue, is people are underground right now trying to just stay safe. Well, how long can they stay there when we are seeing pictures of farmlands being just burnt? If you take away farming, you take away the food, you eliminate water supply, right? You eliminate all these things, which Russia seems like they have been doing. You eliminate all these things, it makes it very difficult for people to stay there. So it would be very easy for Russia to take over because people would just leave. So we're going to see what happens there. But as of right now, that is what we know. So just want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your Friday. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.